Hi, I'm Mike Hughes. Welcome to this little series on working on your draw, working on some of these skill sets in an open pit range. We're going to be covering some equipment, some practices, some safety issues, a lot of things so you can really practice the draw. One of the things we hear the most is, hey, we can never practice our draw. We can never practice some of this practical type shooting. So let's jump into this series. First off, excited we have some cool toys to play with here. We have some toys we bought from Challenge Targets. These are some targets that actually have some technology, believe it or not, where the steel will ring and chime based on you get hit, some auditory feedback. But so you understand how these targets work. Basically, there's a front plate here which is cut out to make these, accuracy zones, right? I guess combat accuracy zone with this case emulating some vital organs and that classic little upper T-zone, right? The back plate here is pretty neat. As you notice, it chimes, and these guys sit protected, all right? These little tuning fork like devices right here. And I assume if I were to hit this, with a 9 or 223, it's probably gonna do some damage since they're just these harmonic like tuning fork things, but they're protected. They sit on the back. So of course I would suggest never shoot this side of the plate, all right? I think that's obvious and probably written somewhere in the instructions, which of course I didn't read. So yeah, I think that's it. So basically, I'm of course handling this right now with my hands. I'm gonna wipe them down at any target and use my gloves a lot of the time just for lead abatement. But it's pretty slick, it's pretty slick. I'm also impressed with this little spring system, how that's pre-tensioned, because when I hit this front plate, it doesn't tend to bring much harmonic to make this guy chime as though a direct impact. Pretty interesting, very interesting stuff. We got to think this stuff all the way through. How do we get the targets to our own custom range and such? Well, I am going to try to dedicate this hard case. It's a big hard case we happen to have. It happens to be a Pelican 1660, I believe. All right, and I think it's sturdy enough to hold these things, and also I can throw it in my vehicle and have a little bit more flexibility there. You probably just throw a lot of stuff in the back of your truck if you have it. But the stands just fit. These top ends just kind of fit in here as well. The posts don't quite. I could probably cut them down or figure out something else there, maybe making a little bracket. I don't know, but there's also a little bit of real estate in here as far as getting the other stuff like, our paint, for the pink and what have you, the black. One thing I'm doing also, just thinking ahead on this, is getting some gloves. So obviously lead abatement's a huge issue, dealing with lead levels and such, and handling targets that have been impacted. That's going to be an issue. So I went ahead and I'm just going to dedicate these gloves. I labeled them lead on each side, okay? So I'll know. I'm just going to leave these in here, and those will be my dedicated just for this purpose. So now I can, boom, get this done up here and throw this in the vehicle and get out to the range. All right, now we're on the range. We're in an appropriate place to shoot. I got permission here. Noise is fine. I got a good backstop. I'm not here alone. Targets are set up. I set these targets up. I take advantage of the fact I'm in an open pit range like this. I go near far, all right? A further target and a close target, and I'll tell you why a little second here. So big thing right now is to take advantage of my unwarmed up state, as I always like to do. I do double plug because I'm going pretty deaf, and I'm gonna just do a simple little drill. Let's hit 3 here, movement, 3 far, let's come back, and do a mag change and hit upper T-zone a few times and upper T-zone the other side a few times, all right? All right, good. Let's just take a look at some first hits on these targets. Of course, I don't suggest touching and handling your targets too much with your bare hands just for lead abatement purposes, but just kind of doing the finger test. I mean, I don't see any divots or what have you, so it looks like they're gonna stand up really well. Of course, I had a few impacts with some 147 plus 9mm, and then there's some Winchester white box, cheap practice ammo. I haven't tested to 223 or any of the big stuff like that. In fact, I gotta read it again and make sure they are compliant to 223 and 308. I have not checked that, but I'm impressed. This is gonna be a cool part of our live fire training, definitely. Okay, so I just went ahead, gave these touch up a paint, and while I just painted the outside, I took advantage of making a template and put this on a standard IPSC or IDPA target. And essentially this kind of gives me something I can train with at home with the CERT training pistol. So I have some target zones and start to compare some times and set some goals for myself. So when I come up here, all that off-range training transfers to the live fire range. Now I do want to throw a word of caution on here. We want to master the skills, not necessarily the drills. So this is a nice little arrangement right here as far as the upper zones, these combat accuracy zones. But obviously there's a lot more when someone turns their body and what have you. This is mainly so I can test on home and see if that training off range is carrying over and I got comparable time. So boom, there's my nice ugly target. Of course, when you go to the range and you have all that time of having to set up and what have you and travel, you want to get the most out of it. And if you do have the budget to shoot 500 rounds, that's great. But if you're like the rest of us, need to be a little bit conservative in our ammo budget, you can sneak in some reps with your CERT. So whether you have a pocket pistol, Smith & Wesson M&P, right, or just a CERT training pistol like the 110, just get some reps in there. So something like this, I'll hit some same drills. So we hit one drill live like that with painted up, and then we're gonna hit a few drills dry. So like this, be something like, come off, boom, 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 boom. All right, off that. All right, so if you just come out, far target. All right, boom, those are good hits, good hits. Cool.